Hello. Oh, sorry, kind of dark in here. It's like, well, I gotta show you something. That it's a lot of companies here in America who have name brand products is going to start suffering from this fallout with this war. There's already a couple of sites. I got one of the sites that they're trying to boycott these products. The reason why they boycott these products is because they come from Israel. And not only that they boycott the products, there's something else that's coming. But let me show you first what this one is.
Hi Mincha fam, welcome back to Minchasur GK. Are you ready to boycotting the Israel products or those products which are supporting Israel? Before starting, please subscribe to the Minchasur GK channel for more exciting quizzes.
These are the products. Some American-made products. Probably Procter and Gamble makes some of these products. It's going to be layoffs. The companies that make these products is going to be layoffs. As people start not shopping because of this, don't buy them products. I'm telling you. Black TV, Palmolive, the oil to wash your hands to go in the kitchen, Kellogg's, Nvidia, hand cream, can't. McDonald's is gonna get boycotted. Dove, Kit Kat, Nestle, the Mastos, whatever that is. Wix, Wix, the club builder, site builder, Viber app, Signal, oh, you know, Woz, that app come out of Israel. Colgate, Neutrogena for your face. Fiber service. Roxiana, whatever that is. Monday.com. Pantene. Payoneer, like it's like PayPal, HP, X, I never heard. Man. Sarah Food Company, SodaStream, Puma, Simmons, Costa Coffee, IBM, Mark and Spencer's, Chanel, Domino's Pizza from Israel, Papa John's, another one, KFC, Burger King, Pizza Hut, Pepsi, Skinny Dip, Too Faced. Never heard of that one. Victoria's Secret, Pampers. These all Israeli companies make this. Twix, Goop, Disney, Lego, you know that's a Jewish name. Aaron B. B&B. Good American. Kylie Skin. All these are companies out of Israel. Israelis. Skims. The Honest Company. BR. Walmart. Mars. Period. Perrier. Aqua Panna. Bobby Brown. The scent of the water is nasty anyway. DASA. Gillette. Light Booyah. Tom Ford Beauty. Nestle Quick. I remember that. Nestle Quick. The chocolate drink. Clinique. The Ordinary. Darth Pin. Haagen-Dazs. I didn't know Haagen-Dazs was. Lee LeBeau. Dr. Jart. Sabra. Probably Hamas. Joe Malone. Hummus. Lay's potato chip. Lipton tea. Just two? Never heard of that. Area. Never heard that one. Ariel. Lemire. Subway. Sweeps. Tide, the detergent. Glacier Smart Water. Gerber. These are companies gonna get boycotted. Minute Maid. Glam Glow. Nokia, Johnson and Johnson, Java, Rhodes, Paramount Pictures, yes, yeah. Pringles tape potato chip. Head and Shoulders. Yep. So.
Got a cold.
So yeah, it's clearly they're about to get boycotted. If this thing don't simmer down in Israel, they're gonna start boycotting these companies worldwide. And not only that, it's a boycott, but it's about to be something with the oil. They're gonna punish America. But before that, let me tell you what's gonna happen with China. What they're gonna do to the U.S.
Mainland, the world's second largest exporter of automobiles, was China last year. And with domestic vehicle sales slowing, it may overtake the United States as the top exporter by 2023. Welcome everyone. In today's video, we're going to tell you China just stopped shipping raw materials to the US. We'll shut down the automotive industry. To maintain their success in the European market, Chinese automakers are enhancing their technology, design, and production procedures, capturing market share in new geographies and addressing challenges with brand awareness. But before we proceed the further video, if you're new to this channel, remember go ahead and to hit the bell icon to subscribe, so you won't miss the informative videos we will upload in the future. Mainland, the fast-growing automotive sector in China, threatens to unseat established global legacy automakers by entering export markets. Through the first quarter of 2023, it overtook Japan to become the world's top exporter of vehicles, overtaking Germany, which had previously held the No. 2 position. Can it keep that advantage for the remainder of the year? Chinese manufacturers are nevertheless wary of political risks and regulatory difficulties as they explore various international markets. According to data from China's General Administration of Customs, the country exported 3.32 million automobiles in 2022, with a 57% increase rate from the previous year. More than 1/4 of all exports were battery electric vehicles. The rate hasn't slowed down yet this year, with export volume soaring by 76% from January to April 2023 to reach roughly 1.5 million automobiles. Chinese automakers took advantage of the scarcity of chips and other essential components in the dispersed supply chains of the venerable Western OEMs to experience rapid expansion. While Western automakers were forced to reduce production, several Chinese automakers had access to a whole industrial chain, which enabled them quickly boost capacity. Strong vehicle exports from China have also aided in the country's auto industry's ability to withstand the effects of domestic demand for new automobiles declining. China's new car industry is predicted to continue to experience challenges due to economic uncertainty and weak consumer spending in the upcoming quarters, placing pressure on domestic automakers to find new export markets. SAIC Motor and Chery currently hold the top 2 positions in terms of export volume. However, BYD and Geely are stepping up their export activities. The present goal of BYD is to penetrate markets where there is currently an instant demand for new energy vehicles, particularly in regions where there are subsidies, purchase tax reductions, or tariff reductions. The BYD network has grown from its launch locations in South Asia and South America to the Middle East and Europe by collaborating with skilled foreign distributors. However, due to problems with brand awareness and strong consumer loyalty to native brands in nations like Germany and France, Chinese automakers encounter difficulties in the European market. However, SAIC's investment in the underappreciated British Mi brand gave the company a chance to leverage the brand's heritage to create a marketing footprint abroad that domestic Chinese brands like Great Wall or Chery might not have been able to. Since 2020, MG has sold more cars abroad than it has at home. This year, it hopes to sell over 200,000 cars in continental Europe and England. In contrast, BYD recently made the Auto 3, commonly known as the UN Plus, available in England to favorable reviews. However, there hasn't been any marketing assistance, and with only 4 dealerships, brand recognition is a problem. The same is true for Neo Xpeng and Aura. In order to cut costs and avoid customs fees, BYD is thinking about constructing a factory in Europe. This will also give customers a chance to develop trust in BYD. And if Chinese brands want to win over customers of legacy brands, they must build this trust. Long-term European customers remember the catastrophic failures of early Chinese cars in NCAP crash tests. But those times are long gone. The safety performance of several new models that are presently being sold in Europe, including the BYD Atto 3, Aura Funky Cat, and MG4 Electric, has significantly improved. All of these vehicles got 5-star ratings in European crash tests. A competitive price advantage is also present in the first wave of Chinese automobiles. As of the week of June 12, the Volkswagen EDE3's starting price in the UK is approximately GBP 37,000, with a starting price of less than GBP 27,000 and a top variant costing roughly GBP 32,500 for a generously fitted car. The similar MG4 is Seat's most recent compact electric vehicle. Norway is a desirable target when it comes to developing new markets, because 90% of its market is made up of electric automobiles. Tesla and well-known European, Japanese, and Korean companies are among the top 15 brands. Nevertheless, the introduction of Chinese brand EVs, such the Hongqi EHS9, iWays U5, Voya Free, BYD, Xpeng P7, and Neo S8 and W7 hasn't been halted either. Russia and Central Asia opportunities, due to the withdrawal of European, American, Japanese, and Korean automakers as a result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The Russian market also gives an opportunity for Chinese brands. Chinese companies like Chery, Haval, and Geely have seized market share in the absence of Western OEMs. The Russian Dealers Association estimates that by the end of 2022, there will be only 14 passenger car brands available on the Russian market, down from 60 before the conflict. The other brands are all Chinese, with the exception of the 3 regional names Lada, Gaz, and UAZ. Prior to the crisis between Russia and Ukraine, passenger car sales in Russia exceeded 1.5 million. Even though they are currently below the 760,000 units predicted for 2023, they are still higher than in Thailand or Malaysia. In particular, the mid to high end of the market, with vehicles like the Great Wall Haval 7.6, Haval Dargo, Changjin 775, Chery Tiggo 8, and Geely Manjaro and Atlas, could see mainland Chinese automakers gain a significant position. The native Russian brands are now left to compete in the bottom end of the market. Chinese automakers are also paying attention to a number of Belt and Road markets in Central Asia, particularly Uzbekistan. Because of the country's close economic and trade ties with China, minimal political risk, and growth potential. Political risk, however, is a significant concern for Chinese automakers looking to grow abroad, as evidenced by Turkey's recent hike in import duties on Chinese electric vehicles from 10 to 40. Another illustration of this is the fact that Chinese manufacturer Great Wall Motor had to abandon its intention to buy GM's Idle Taligon factory in India last year, because the deal was rejected by Indian regulators. Local officials began to investigate the transaction as soon as the move was signed in January 2020. The unsuccessful acquisition was significantly influenced by the political hostility between China and India, targeting North America. Mexico is the main focus in North America. Mexico is now by far mainland China's main export market, because to the country's robust imports of vehicles built in China, though mainland in recent years, General Motors vehicles produced in China have dominated China's exports of vehicles to Mexico. Imported Chinese-made vehicles will increase in popularity in the North American market as GM and Tesla ship more models from their respective factories in China to Mexico and Canada, respectively. The U.S., the biggest vehicle market in the area, has drawn caution from Chinese automakers. The major barrier preventing Chinese brands from entering the U.S. market is not the 25% tax that the U.S. put on vehicles imported from mainland China. Instead, the tight political relations between the U.S. and China do not create the ideal environment for Chinese manufacturers looking to enter the U.S. market. The U.S. will continue to encourage local manufacture and local sourcing in the coming years as it strives to become a significant player in the global electric car market. The Biden administration's Inflation Reduction Act, which was passed in 2022, ties EV tax credits to a number of requirements, including the procurement of battery components and essential minerals within the U.S. or with a U.S. free trade partner. Since the IRA was passed in 2022, international automakers, including Hyundai and Honda, have made plans to establish EV battery manufacturing facilities in the U.S. to boost domestic EV production. However, given the geopolitical risk and anticipated low initial sales volumes whenever they do enter the U.S. passenger vehicle market, it is unrealistic for Chinese automakers to make significant investments in the U.S. In light of this, Chinese automakers, like Isbide and Great Wall Motor, have chosen to emphasize Europe and Southeast Asia in their aspirations for global expansion, since these regions offer the best chances for them to gain scale and obtain authorization for establishing local production facilities. Western OEM plants in mainland China. The growth of Chinese automakers has also reduced market shares held by foreign automakers on the domestic Chinese market and prompted them to change their business models to deal with the escalating competition. The joint venture factories run by French automakers in China have been used to create a number of models for export. The production of the latest generation of mini electric vehicles by BMW and the EV5 by Kia has also been moved to China. It is obvious that Chinese factories are becoming more effective and capable of producing automobiles for global markets and global standards as more joint venture brands move production capacity to China for export. The shift in Chinese industry's production toward new energy vehicles is essential for the global uptake of battery electric vehicles, because China is the world's largest market for electric vehicles. The developing automobile sector in China is a result of more than just economic expansion and technological development. It also demonstrates China's growing market clout and its capacity to upend long-established sectors of the economy. Chinese automakers are threatening the dominance of established firms and forcing them to adjust to a new reality as they increase their market share in various locations.
Is there a hidden camera spying on you right now?
When I say hidden camera, you still think about high-tech spy movie stuff, right? Yeah, look at this. They become so...
China has taken a side in the Israeli conflict, and Chinese battleships are currently facing off against a U.S. aircraft carrier in the eastern Mediterranean, raising concerns about the possibility of a World War III. The Israeli conflict in Gaza appears to be escalating dramatically by the day, and actually the crisis is evolving into a broader confrontation that has attracted the attention of major global powers like Russia, China, and of course Turkey. With Russia preoccupied in Ukraine, China has positioned itself as a significant arms supplier in the Middle East, collaborating with nations like, of course, Iran, Syria, Oman, Kuwait, Qatar sometimes, and Saudi Arabia. Chinese-made drones and technologies have played pivotal roles in regional conflict, fostering not only trade relationship but also military alliances. The deployment of Chinese warships can be interpreted as a message to the United States, underscoring China's ability to protect its interests in the region by siding with Palestine. China may seek to prevent Israeli ground incursions into Gaza while also positioning itself as, a protector of Iran and its Hezbollah allies. How do you perceive this unfolding situation? Do you believe that a potential confrontation between Chinese and American warships in the eastern Mediterranean could lead to a wider conflict? Share your thoughts in the comments. Please also don't forget to like and share this video to allow others to watch it, and consider subscribing to the channel so you stay connected with us in the future. Notably, Israel has resisted peace efforts. Israel appears to be resistant to peace initiatives, having declined to participate in a peace conference organized by Egypt, attended by dignitaries from Arab and African nations. This peace summit was aimed at finding a lasting solution to the crisis. Some leaders present at the conference criticized Western nations for their perceived hypocrisy since the crisis in Gaza started.
I am outraged and grieved by those acts of violence waged against innocent civilians in Gaza, in the West Bank, and Israel. The relentless bombing campaign underway in Gaza, as we speak, is cruel and unconscionable on every level. It is collective punishment of a besieged and helpless people. It is a flagrant violation of international humanitarian law. It is a war crime. Our priorities today are clear and urgent. First, an immediate end to the war in Gaza, the protection of civilians, and the adoption of a unified position that indiscriminately condemns the targeting of all civilians in line with our shared values and international law, which loses all value if it is implemented selectively. Second, the sustained and uninterrupted delivery of humanitarian aid, fuel, food, and medicines to the Gaza Strip. Third, the unequivocal rejection of the forced displacement or internal displacement of the Palestinians. This is a war crime according to international law and a red line for all of us. It is our duty as the international community to do whatever it takes to restart a meaningful political process that can take us to a just and sustainable peace on the basis of the two-state solution. The only path to a safe and secure future for the people of the Middle East and the entire world, for the Jewish people, for Christians, for Muslims alike, starts with the belief that every human life is of equal value, and it ends with two states, Palestine and Israel, sharing land and peace from the river to the sea.
إننا نحذر من محاولات تهجير شعبنا في غزة إلى خارجها، كما نحذر من أي عمليات طرد للفلسطينيين من بيوتهم أو تهجيرهم من القدس أو الضفة الغربية. لن نقبل بالتهجير وسنبقى صامدين على أرضنا مهما كانت التحديات.
وقد أكدت مصر وتجدد التشديد على الرفض التام للتهجير القسري للفلسطينيين ونزوحهم إلى الأراضي المصرية في سيناء، إذ أن ذلك ليس إلا تصفية نهائية للقضية الفلسطينية وإنهاء لحكم الدولة الفلسطينية المستقلة وإهدارا لكفاح الشعب الفلسطيني والشعوب العربية والإسلامية.
In response to the looming threats of war, China has deployed six warships in the region, heightening concerns of potential escalation of the crisis. These actions underscore China's alignment with the Palestinian cause. The deployed warships include the Zibo, a guided missile destroyer, the frigate Xinzhou, and the supply ship Qindaho, all stationed in the Middle East as Israel prepares for a ground invasion of Gaza. The deployment of Chinese warships signals their readiness to confront the United States in the event of an escalation in the region. That's actually how it is looking right now, because 6 warships are really not a child's play. The United States has dispatched 2 aircraft carriers, the USS Gerald R. Ford and the USS Darwin Eisenhower, to the Eastern Mediterranean, along with aircraft capable of conducting strikes. Additional planes have been sent to the US bases that is almost scattered everywhere in the region, including F-16 fighter jet squadrons. The increased military presence reflects Washington's concerns that tensions in Israel could erupt into a full-scale war, with China and other global powers prepared to defend their interests in the region, potentially complicating US's ability to determine the outcome of a full-scale conflict in the region. The presence of Chinese warships and Russian submarine could potentially constrain US military operation against a country like Iran. Many have suggested that the Gaza escalation might draw Iranian-backed Hezbollah fighters into the conflict. These fighters could use Iranian-made weaponry against Israel, possibly prompting Israel to launch an all-out massive.
It's almost like magic. Physics. They're as easy as saying, let's go camping. Kizik. Let's go.
An all-out massive aerial bombardment on Iranian military industrial complexes. Iran may respond with its own strikes on critical targets in Israel, potentially triggering a larger conflict in the Middle East between these very tough regional rivals. Honestly, that could be an apocalyptic scenario. This warning gains added significance as Hezbollah and Israeli forces exchanges gunfire, artillery and missiles in the northern parts of Israel. Israel has also conducted raids in Lebanon, claiming to have destroyed Hezbollah cells, command and control centers, and what it called terror enclaves along the border. Hezbollah in turn has targeted IDF forces with anti-tank missiles and disrupted Israel's surveillance by blinding IDF border cameras. In response, Israel has evacuated border areas and declared many regions as military exclusive zones. Since the Ukrainian crisis and its economic consequences, China has expanded its arms export capabilities in the Middle East. Most Middle Eastern countries now use Chinese-made drones, missiles, and vehicles. The deployed warships initially engaged in joint patrols with the Omani Navy. China has supplied weapons to regional parties without imposing conditions like the United States does whenever it desires to supply any country with weapons. China is positioning itself as an alternative arms supplier in the Middle East. After sanctions were lifted on Iran, China quickly became a major supplier. Despite Russia's dominance in the Tehran market, China has signed multiple agreements to provide Iran with arms, drones, technology, and components. Iran, in turn, has armed and trained Hezbollah extensively, especially drawing from experience from Syria. A scenario where Israel invades Gaza and Hezbollah opens a second front in northern Israel would be both intriguing and potentially devastating for the United States and Israel. Please like and share this video to others so they can watch it. Hit the subscribe.
Last week, Israel blasted Gaza with airstrikes that killed at least 2670 people, shut off food, water, gasoline, and electricity to the Palestinian enclave, and forced inhabitants to flee northern Gaza in preparation for a land invasion intended at destroying Hamas. Welcome everyone. In today's video, we're going to tell you China warns Israel to stop this now. I recognize the Palestinian people's valid issues. However, nothing can justify these acts of terror, as well as the death, maiming, and kidnapping of civilians, Guterres said. But before we proceed the further video, if you're new to this channel, remember go ahead and hit the bell icon to subscribe, so you won't miss the informative videos we will upload in the future. As US Secretary of State Antony Blinken hurried around the Middle East over the weekend in an attempt to avert a wider war in the area, China urged Israel to discontinue its collective punishment of Palestinian people in Gaza. It's been more than a week since Hamas launched its most devastating attack on Israel since the 1973 Yom Kippur War. killing at least 1,400 primarily civilians. In return, Israel blasted Gaza with airstrikes that killed at least 2,670 people, cut off food, water, gasoline, and electricity to the Palestinian enclave, and ordered inhabitants to evacuate northern Gaza ahead of an expected ground attack aimed at destroying Hamas. Israel's actions have gone beyond self-defense, and it should heed the call of the international community and the Secretary General of the United Nations to stop its collective punishment of the people in Gaza. China's foreign minister, Wang Yi, reportedly told his Saudi Arabia counterpart Faisal bin Farhan al-Saud in a phone call on Sunday. The exercise of the right to self-defense should comply with international humanitarian law and should not come at the expense of innocent civilian lives, Wang was said to have said in a separate call with his Turkish colleague, Hakan Fidan. Wang's remarks were part of a weekend series of demands by international leaders to prevent the Israel-Hamas confrontation from escalating into a wider Middle East conflict. As Blinken raced through 7 countries in the region in recent days, Israel, Jordan, Bahrain, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt, Iran's hardline President Ibrahim Raisi warned in a phone call with French President Emmanuel Macron on Sunday that war would escalate if Israel's siege of Gaza was not lifted. Israel has the right, indeed the obligation, to defend itself against Hamas assaults and to do everything possible to ensure that this never happens again, Blinken told reporters as he landed in Cairo on Sunday. As I mentioned in Tel Aviv, and as President Biden has said, how Israel does these matters. It must do it in a way that reflects our shared values of human life and dignity, while taking every measure to avoid injuring civilians, he added. Egypt has agreed to open its borders to enable humanitarian aid into Gaza, beginning at 9 a.m. local time on Monday, while Palestinians with foreign passports are now permitted to access Gaza's southern border with Egypt and fly out from Cairo to their ultimate destinations. To emphasize the gravity of the Gaza crisis, Biden nominated former Ambassador David Satterfield as the U.S. Special Envoy for Middle East humanitarian problems on Sunday. A senior U.S. official told NBC News that Biden is considering accepting Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's offer to visit Israel on a solidarity visit during the battle. How has China responded to the ongoing violence? On October 8, China issued a foreign ministry press release in which it stated, China is profoundly concerned about the ongoing escalation of tensions and bloodshed between Palestine and Israel. We urge all parties involved to maintain calm, exercise restraint, and immediately cease hostilities in order to protect civilians and avoid further deterioration of the situation. The foreign ministry statement was unusual for its lack of particular criticism of either Hamas or Israel. Calls to defend civilians might be directed at either Israel's continued counterattacks, which are wreaking havoc on Gaza's civilian population, or at Hamas, which continues to hold Israeli people captive, including children and the elderly. Mao Ning, a spokesperson for the Chinese Foreign Ministry, elaborated on this during a press conference on October 9. The core outline of China's attitude, however, remained unchanged, a vacuous demand for calm and restraint, as well as a steadfast refusal to assign blame. Mao stated that China was deeply pained by civilian losses and opposes and condemns acts that damage civilians, but did not elaborate on what those acts were. She also spoke out against moves that intensify the crisis and destabilize the region. Instead, China appears to be taking a long-term approach, supporting a return to peace talks and the adoption of the two-state solution to halt the cycle of strife between Palestine and Israel. As part of that, Mao emphasized one of China's favorite new catchphrases, each party's legitimate concerns must be honored. It may be useful to compare China's response to those made by United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Guterres expressed grave concern about Israel's plan to blockade the whole Gaza population, stressing that the humanitarian situation in Gaza was quite poor prior to these confrontations. He did, however, strongly denounce the Hamas attack that preceded Israel's reaction. Guterres' words demonstrate that it is feasible to avoid taking sides while denouncing both parties for violating international law. China is not acting in this manner. When pressed by a reporter from Brazil's O Globo, China declined to denounce Hamas's horrific initial assault on civilians, even refusing to name them terrorist acts. That is especially ironic, given that China has previously expressed outrage when Western countries refused to classify specific Uyghur acts as terrorist. What we're witnessing here is China striving to remain completely impartial, but being perceived as siding with Hamas as a result. In Israel, China's appeals for a ceasefire, while refusing to denounce Hamas's attack on Israeli citizens, are regarded as an attempt to protect Palestinian militants from any consequences. China began to position itself as a potential mediator in the Israel-Palestine crisis earlier this year, following its success in bringing Iran and Saudi Arabia to an agreement. A large part of that endeavor has been to rely more on China's long-standing support for Palestine in the face of increased Israeli brutality. China hosted Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in Beijing in June. China and Palestine inked a strategic relationship during the visit, promising expanded collaboration and assistance to the Palestinian Authority. China's backing for Palestine is one of the most powerful cards Beijing can play in attempting to improve its standing in the Arab world in comparison to the US. That geopolitical tactic is pressuring China to avoid any clear criticism of Hamas during the current crisis. It's especially hilarious because on the surface, China and Israel have a lot in common. Both are high-tech security governments that spend a lot of time and money monitoring and persecuting a Muslim population viewed as a security danger. That's all for today's video. However, geopolitics sometimes make for unusual bedfellows.
Well, there you have it right there. Yeah, it's gonna get nasty. It's really gonna get nasty.
Are you having trouble paying for healthcare, rent, gas, groceries, and other bills? Then you've got to see this. The government is basically giving me $1,300 in premium.
Since the start of the Israel-Hamas war, the U.S. has been trying hard to show China as evil. In doing so, it has spread the news that China is anti-Israel and only supports the cause of the people of Palestine. That's why Israel's permanent ambassador, in addressing the UN, considered China as a rival, an enemy. However, what the Chinese ambassador to the United Nations said literally changed the entire equation. Both the US and Israel's ambassadors were silenced after listening to what the Chinese ambassador said. He made it clear that China was never anti-Israel. It only sides with humanity and will condemn any country that is involved in civilian killings. But what was said that has failed the US plan to make China appear bad in the conflict? And how has China brilliantly handled the sensitive conflict? Welcome back to another exciting episode of our channel. Innovation Diary brings you China's innovation stories, projects, and growing influence in different parts of the world. If you are new to the channel and enjoy learning about fast-paced modernity, especially China's development and growing power, you will definitely find our videos intriguing. In this video, we will explain how China has cleared its leanings, saying that it's neither anti nor pro-Israel, failing all the US plans. Let's get started. Recently, China and Russia vetoed a resolution presented by the US and the United Nations. This resolution supported Israel in continuing the bombing of Gaza, avoiding a ceasefire, and preventing humanitarian aid to millions of struggling and dying Palestinians in Gaza. At that point, Israel expected that both China and Russia would support that. Ignoring that, the resolution made no comments about thousands of civilians who had died in the bombing. All in all, the resolution was one-sided and pro-Israel. Hence, both China and Russia vetoed it. However, this made Israel's ambassador angry, and he conveyed his anger, saying that he was shocked by the response of the countries that rejected the resolution. He mentioned Russia and China, calling them rivals and enemies in implicit words. That's when the Chinese permanent ambassador to the UN decided to tone him down. He said everything very gently, making Israel's ambassador speechless. He started by saying that Israel considers China a rival. An enemy is the very mistake it's making. China is not anti-Israel. If it has not taken Israel's side as the US did, it does not mean that China is an enemy of Israel. He said that from the very start, China's policy about this conflict has been very clear. It always supported the two-state solution. This solution is inevitable, which will ensure long-lasting peace in the region. The root cause of the conflict is the very reason that Palestinians don't have land. They are strangers in the land that once belonged to them. Continuing, he said that if China is condemning attacks on civilians without naming Israel, it's what a country has to do.
No country can support civilian killings and bombing on them, and China will always condemn this, whether Israel does this or anyone else. Further giving evidence, he said that just a few days back, China supported the resolution in which Hamas was condemned. However, the US vetoed that resolution. Does this make the US anti-Israel? He said that China supports Israel's right of self-defense, but Palestinians' right to self-defense should also be protected. Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel for more videos about China's development, power, and influence on the world. Let's continue now. However, there is another side of the story as well, the one which the West sees. For the West, China's position on the Gaza conflict has raised concerns and generated confusion. It's because Beijing has criticized Israel's extensive attacks on civilians and has condemned violations of international law. Also because President Xi Jinping refrained from commenting on the crisis until after the Third Belt and Road Forum, it made China look anti-Israel. When he did address the issue, he reiterated China's long-standing support for a two-state solution and called for the establishment of a humanitarian corridor to deliver aid to the besieged Gaza Strip. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi went even further, characterizing Israel's bombardment of Gaza's civilian population as actions that have exceeded the boundaries of self-defense. However, Beijing refrained from condemning Hamas for its actions against civilians. Similar to its approach in the Ukraine situation, China is positioning itself as a peace-seeking and neutral major power. It contrasts this approach with that of the United States, which provides unconditional support to Israel, a stance that Beijing considers a destabilizing and violent influence in the region. What's more, Beijing is increasingly aligning with Russia on the Palestinian issue, an unprecedented development aimed at securing a seat at the negotiating table while minimizing costs to both countries and undermining U.S. influence in the region. Chinese officials are engaging in diplomatic interactions with the region, adhering to Beijing's policy of balancing relationships between the Gulf states and Iran, and between regional major powers and Israel. The position which Beijing has taken is meticulously designed to focus on the broader context, such as the need for a two-state solution, addressing humanitarian concerns, and preventing the conflict from escalating regionally. Many believe that China does not aim to replace the United States' position in the Middle East, but it undoubtedly welcomes the United States becoming entangled in another conflict in the region. Chinese experts believe that the more strategic issues outside of East Asia that require Washington's attention, the more time and space China gains to assert its strategic dominance in the Indo-Pacific. China has reiterated its long-standing support for the Palestinian cause, a policy dating back to the time of Mao Zedong. According to Western experts, China follows a policy of what might be termed anti-Western neutrality, which means remaining neutral without explicitly condemning any country or force that challenges Western dominance in the global order. This in turn helps secure backing for Chinese positions on critical issues like Xinjiang and Taiwan, as well as for Xi's vision of global governance, as encapsulated in his signature initiatives, the Global Development Initiative, the Global Security Initiative, and the Global Civilization Initiative. China has also sought to foster regional unity, urging the Islamic world to speak with one voice alongside China on the Palestinian issue. Experts believe that by emphasizing its neutral stance and presenting itself as a voice for the global South, China aims to challenge the United States' moral standing and promote the internationalization of the issue. This includes a call for a global conference to initiate a peace process, potentially removing Washington from its long-held position as the uncontested mediator in the conflict. The ultimate goal is to undermine the United States' global influence and secure the discourse power battle by capitalizing on worldwide sympathy for the Palestinian cause. One of the reasons why China's policy is not anti-Israel is their economic cooperation. However, this shows two things. One, it makes it certain that China's policy on the Israel-Hamas conflict is not anti-Israel. However, secondly, it shows that despite China having economic cooperation with Israel, it does not support Israel's every action, especially if that action is killing and bombing civilians. That's why we saw China condemning Israel and supporting its right to self-defense at the same time. Hence, the Israel-Gaza conflict provides a valuable opportunity to explore how China manages economic and political considerations amid rising geopolitical tensions. This situation poses a challenge as China seeks to strike a delicate balance between its economic interests and political alliances in an increasingly fragmented global landscape. The relationship between China and Israel is often described as having cold politics and hot economics. Despite differing political goals, China and Israel have deepened their economic connections over the past decade. Notably, Israel was the largest recipient of Chinese investment among Middle Eastern countries from 2015 to 2018, according to AEI's China Global Investment Tracker. As per IOSS's China Connects database, China has invested in more Belt and Road Initiative and BRI-like projects in Israel than in any other country in the region, even though Israel hasn't officially joined the BRI. The significant infrastructure projects led by China in Israel are unprecedented, especially given Israel's status as a developed economy. In other words, in this case, Israel needs China's economic support more than its political support. Similarly, like many developed economies, Israel attracts substantial Chinese investments in advanced technology sectors. China's engagement with Israel reflects its techno-nationalism, with the Chinese government encouraging private enterprises to invest in Israeli technology. This has led to the growth of Chinese private investments alongside state-affiliated investments in Israel since 2014. In 2021 alone, China invested over $2 billion in Israel. Given Israel's significance in advanced technological development, it's considered a crucial source for China to access critical technology, especially as the United States and other Western nations have increasingly restricted China's participation in their tech sectors. China's imports from Israel, according to official investment guidance from China's Commerce Ministry, predominantly consist of high-tech products, including electronic equipment, medical instruments, and telecommunications products. Furthermore, a report by the RAND Corporation revealed that between 2011 and 2018, China made the most substantial investments in Israel's technology sector, both in terms of monetary value, amounting to $5.7 billion, and the number of companies, 54 out of 87 investments. These investments were carried out through venture capital or tech firms, including both private and state-owned companies, some of which have been considered controversial by Western countries, such as Huawei and ZTE. We would like to take a moment to appreciate you all for commenting and sharing your opinions. Your insights always impress us. What do you think? Where does China stand in the conflict? Isn't it true that quite a long time ago, China took the unambiguous policy of supporting a two-state solution for resolving the Israel-Palestine conflict? Let us know your thoughts on how the U.S. will once again start its propaganda.
I think I'm gonna stop right here. Again. I'm gonna have to bring that up on another video. But you see, what's going on? They about to boycott. They about to boycott Israel. And see, on my previous video, someone mentioned about Israel made some companies here have that you won't hire no employees that won't be a part of the boycott. But this boycott, with Israel, in other countries, this can be applied to. So, what they think they're doing here, trying to bully us, you can't. Whatever they got in other countries, you ain't gonna do that to them. You're not gonna put it in your claws. That's not gonna fold. So it is what. So hey, you see about the competition. What they about? What they compete with the cars and the material, and that's how China is gaining. And yeah, it started out something small. Now, how is it going to affect us? It's going to affect us, and when we go to the gas station, it's going to affect us in areas of shipping things and with certain things that we may need, and it's going to cost some jobs. It definitely And if they don't end this war, it can cost some jobs. Whatever companies make little products here in the United States that's part of Israel, they gonna hurt themselves. See, they get their ego too big in the bunches. And see, they already boycotting in Jordan. They don't go to Starbucks over to McDonald's. They don't want. And then when I heard a young man, he ordered water before he ordered a drink. So they already started in different places and start boycotting U.S. brands and Israeli brands because this thing with Palestine. This gonna ripple effect, and then that's gonna put the Saudis in the midst of, hey, you better deal with this, because they're gonna listen to the Iranian leader. See, man, it's just people are just they don't know. They really don't know what's ahead. They don't think. All they think about is war, and how we're gonna play like a Rambo and try to get these people out. But in the meantime, if it means taking out other people, deleting many Palestinians, and that's gonna make it even worse. And I guess it's not only Hezbollah is involved in the war. China is gonna step their game up for Palestine, so they're facing off against America. Battle to battle. Then Russia sent some troops over there too. They sent the brigade over there after Price took some out of the war and sent them over there to fight on. So you got Russia, China is back, is going to stand down with U.S. You have the Yemen fighters coming over to fight. Then you got Hezbollah. And if Al Qaeda is in Syria, I don't know if it's Al Qaeda, one of them, they coming over with them to fight. Israel is going to be in a war like never before, all because Netanyahu did what he did. It's gonna be, man. And if the United States get involved, China gonna get involved. Russia's gonna get involved. That's why they're trying to resolve this situation now. This war, it's not going. It ain't gonna end well. You better, now you better use some sense instead of trying to think that his tactic is being so aggressive and not disregarding. These people don't care that. And if you so-called bombing, you don't know if the people, the Hamas fighters, among the hostages. It's like, what is he thinking? You're trying to get all the hostages out. And then you don't know how long they've been playing this for a while. So they could be some under the ground in Lebanon or Egypt somewhere. They might not even be at that location, even though they bombed the tunnels. I think they bombed the tunnels. And at some point, and down the road, we're gonna pay for it financially because of this. So we'll be looking out, but I hope that eventually they find the people. But if they don't, it's probably to go to Hamas leaders and maybe Iran and with the Saudi, let them talk to them, bringing them out instead of trying. And the thing about it was that they just took land off of them. They want to do a two-state solution. Israel wasn't trying to do that. So you're just gonna take and take and take and take, and like they do what I call intimate domain. That's what they did with them over there. So that would kind of spark this whole thing off. And see, they're not gonna tell you that. They're not gonna tell you the whole story. So this is the reason why they activate. And then, like I said in another video, we have our border is loose. You know, buying and helping the border down there, secure the border really well. You don't know what's coming through that. Just let them on through. You don't know who's coming through there. That could be part of that. And they can just put on civilian clothes, you know, probably learn some Spanish, basically some Spanish. And they could be one of them people trying to come up here and survey the area. Just hard-headed. This is a hard-headed administration. You act like he's Superman or something. Like, you know, and it's not going to move and put political things, because it's going to bring worse and worse and worse. And it's sad that it's jumped off here with people jumping on each other, committing violent acts on one another because of something like that. Naturally, people gonna feel some kind of way because that's their family and their relatives back there. Yes, they're American, but whatever country, Palestine and the other one, Lebanon and the other place, they're first. We forget about that. So that puts some tension on it. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. But now you see how this thing got real. It got really real, and it's going to cost some jobs here. Not only lives in other places, now it's going to cost us some jobs. Then the economy. You already see what's coming down the pipe. It's not going to look good for the economy. If they start boycotting the products like they do over there, and they see how they do it over here, it's going to be jobs. Because the companies got to lay off whoever makes those products. And then the oil thing with the oil and the gas, because we still relying on their oil. And then China, was it China? Or somebody threatened to take, no, it was Saudi Arabia, talking about taking their oil from Israel. Now who better think about it, better find another way to do this thing right. Alright then, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe, share with somebody. But yeah, this was going on with this war, and we're gonna pay for it. Jobs, and if people start boycotting the products made by Israel, and right now the way it's looking with the Palestinians and what happened to them. See, when you get all ego and arrogant and egotistical, putting your mouth on somebody, you don't see the bigger picture. Some of the people in Israel don't see the bigger picture. You're not going to be able to hold the power like you used to no more. And put the scare tactic and stuff. Especially when they start doing that, it's gonna hit your wallet, your bank account. So it's something to think about. Alright then, you guys be blessed. Till next time, see you on the video. Take care.